guitar scales. In this lesson, I'm going to answer that all-important question of why am I learning guitar scales and why are they so important, and also why should I not neglect them. They are the most important thing. They are the building blocks of music, and if you understand how to use guitar scales properly, there are no limitations. Basically, you'll understand the harmony behind music and the harmony behind any pitched musical instrument. They are how chords are formed, and they are how things such as arpeggios are formed as well. So I'm going to answer that question for you. Even more so, this session, I guarantee in this session you will understand the importance of guitar scales properly, more so than putting a backing track on and just playing a scale over it. It will help you in the long run to sound musical, as long as you keep practicing it as well, as opposed to just sounding like you're playing a scale over a backing track. It'll help you actually understand how it's used and why it's used. I'm going to demonstrate and explain to you using the two most important scales. If there was two scales to ever learn in music, it would be the major scale and the natural minor scale. Learn those two scales. And also, you need to know really what the fret names on each string are called on a guitar. And if you don't know how to do that, I've done a video above. Check it out. That will help you. It doesn't take long to learn. This lesson is probably going to be about 10 to 20 minutes long. I don't know, because I've not actually made it yet. I'm in the process of making it. But I guarantee it will be worth learning, and it will explain to you why those scales are so important. So many people neglect them and don't understand the theory behind what they're doing. And it comes in very handy at certain points, and this will help you a lot. It comes in handy if you really want to know how to be individual and how to know what you are doing. So check this out. I hope it helps. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, because I'm always giving guitar lessons and advice. Leave a comment below after you've watched it to let me know if you understand it, and if you don't, then I will make another video, and I'll try and make it as short as I possibly can, because I try to make videos as short as I possibly can. If you could like the video, if it does help you, which it will do, that would be amazing as well. Check it out. First of all, the major scale. Why is it important? So I want you to think about major chords and arpeggios, which in theory contain exactly the same notes. It's just that chords are all played at once, and arpeggios, the notes are broken up. So what makes a major chord and a major arpeggio, a major chord and a major arpeggio? Well, the answer is the notes that are involved. The notes come from the major scale. A major chord and arpeggio both consist of a first note, a third note, and a fifth note of the major scale. So the root, major third, and perfect fifth is called. And all you've got to think about is when you play that major scale, think of the first note. What is it? So say I was doing it here, which is a G. The third fret is a G. If you don't know how to name your notes, check out my video on how to name all of the notes of the fretboard on a guitar. It's dead easy. Okay, you'll need to know that for scale theory and for how to understand scales and why they come in useful, but they are the building blocks of guitar playing. So G major. So all I need to think of to get a major chord or a major arpeggio is what the notes are in them. The first, the third, and the fifth. It means the first note that you play of the scale, which is the very first note, so it's going to be a G. Then the third note of the scale that you play which is a B. And then the fifth note of the scale that you play. That is a D. So all you need to make a G major chord is a G, a B, and a D. Now, if you look at a standard G major chord and you understand how the frets, how they correlate to note names, how they're actually named, you'll actually realize all of the notes in a G major chord are G's, B's, and D's in a standard G major chord, an open string one. We have a G there, we have a B here, and then we have a D, and then we have an open string G, and then we have another D on the B string, and then we have another G here on the E string. So you just have, as long as you've got one of each of those notes, you have a G major chord. It's also known as a G major triad because there are only 3 notes that you're playing. So triad means 3, tri meaning 3. Okay, so that's why scales in general are so important. Everything is named with them. So you want to play a G major chord anywhere, all you need is those 3 notes. You only need 1 repeat of each note. If you get more, but you can have more than 1 repeat if you want a different voicing or a bigger voicing of the chord. So let's put it to the test. Let's just find a random G note. So if we go here, this is a G here, right? And I'm playing it on this string, and I'm going to play the 2 high strings after it, and all I just need a B and a D now to complete it. So I got G there, I've got a D here, and I've got a B. I can't actually reach it, so I'm going to reorganize it. Okay, G, let's try B here, and then D there, okay? So we've got a G major chord there, it's a G major triad. That's all you need to be able to understand how to play chords, is that. And arpeggios. So I want to play a G major arpeggio and take it throughout the neck. All I need to play is G's, B's, and D's. You don't even necessarily have to start on the root note when you're doing it. You can start on any note you want as long as you've just got those notes in it. It just helps when there's no underlying chords if you start on the root note, but it isn't essential at all. In fact, the best arpeggios are the ones where you are kind of like putting different notes in different places, but just using those notes. So let's create an arpeggio using G, B, and D. Okay, and we have a major arpeggio then. So G, B, D, and then I can very easily just take it through octaves then. G, B, D, G, B, D. And I've got my arpeggio. That's why arpeggios are so important. I want to demonstrate with the minor scale now. That's the other super important scale. So the exact same concept applies, however you're doing it in minor. So if I take the natural minor scale, let's do it in B minor. Okay, and I want to make a minor triad, okay? Same concept, first note, third note, and fifth note of that scale, create your minor chord or minor arpeggio. First note being a B, third note being D, fifth note being F sharp. Okay, so as long as I've got B, D, and F sharp in there, I've got a B minor chord or a B minor arpeggio. So let's take a look at a B minor bar chord. There we have B, F sharp, another B, there's your D, And you've got all the notes you need now, so the extra notes, you're just extending the chord, you're just making it bigger sounding, now larger sounding. You got an F sharp there, and then you got another B minor chord. Take this bar chord version of it, 5-string bar. B, F sharp, B, D, F sharp. Exactly the same notes. This explains on the guitar, on most instruments, why you can play the same chord loads and loads of different ways. Okay, same principle applies to arpeggios. As long as you've got a B, D, and an F sharp, you've got a minor arpeggio. B, D, F sharp. And I could just carry that throughout octaves. Let's say I wanted an extended chord that's not a triad, so a chord with more notes than 3 in it. Let's use the major scale this time, and we'll do an extended arpeggio actually with this one, and we'll use A major. You find the A note here, and you play the major shape. It's always the same. And let's say you wanted a major 7th arpeggio, okay? All you gotta do for that, you play the same notes as a major triad, and then you also play this, you add the 7th note in, so there's 4 notes in it. So the 7th note from the scale. So you'll have A, that's the first note. The 3rd note is C sharp or D flat. The 5th note is E, and then the 7th note is G sharp or A flat, whichever you want to think of it. Okay, and then all you got to do to play a major arpeggio, and if you practice your major 7th arpeggio, sorry, if you practice your major arpeggio enough, all you've got to do is you can change some of the repeating notes and add that 7th note in replace of them or as well as. So let's say I add this major arpeggio that goes like this throughout octaves. So that's a major triad, that's just the 1st, 3rd and the 5th from the major scale. All I've got to do is add in the 7th note and then create a repeating pattern throughout the octaves. And then on the next string, I'm going to add the 7th because it's very close to the root or the octave. So I've got that then. And then all I do is repeat that through the octaves. It's that simple. Same thing applies to minor as well. That is why scales are so important, as well as that they train your fingers up, but more so than that, it helps you understand all of musical instruments. So that's just a brief understanding of guitar scales and their importance. So imagine delving deep into them. You can utilize them for learning some patterns of your own, some arpeggios, utilize them for scaling the neck, but also utilize them for things such as improvising as opposed to just purely playing a scale over the top of it. You can really learn how to arpeggiate properly and utilize the notes of the chords in the underlying rhythm underneath what you are playing, and it allows you to actually break out of scale patterns by utilizing the notes that are involved within the chords below what you are playing and within the bass that is working with the chords as well, because you'll find that you can actually break out of scale and notes that fit really nicely with it as well. Again, if you could subscribe to my channel, that would be amazing. I'm always giving guitar lessons. If there's anything in particular you want to learn or understand about on the guitar, just hit me up in the comments below. I'd love to help you.